Okay. So this interview is for an exercise in a course that I'm taking this semester. For the purposes of this exercise, do you consent to being interviewed and recorded?
Yes, I consent.
Okay. So will you introduce yourself?
My name is Aspen Atkins. I'm a medical investigator for the Boulder County Coroner's Office.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions. The first is, I would like to learn about your experience of gender in the workplace. Can you describe where you work in as much detail as possible?
Well, at the coroner's office, day in and day out, I take hospice calls, which consist of mainly finding out where an elderly person has died and how they have died. I intake that information and I do casework on that. I also go to crime scenes and photograph the scene as well as the body. My main focus is the body, so I photograph the body and take the body back to the coroner's office where we do autopsies and external autopsies, so x-rays and lots of heavy lifting.
Okay. So what activities do men do and what activities do women normally do?
Typically we make the men do the lifting of the bodies since we don't want to. Men and women here both do the paperwork in the office, so it's not separate between men or women. So we typically have the same duties unless you're a deputy coroner, so you can pronounce time of death, but both men and women do that.
Can you tell me about a time you felt degraded by men in the workplace?
I have maybe felt a little more weak than some men, or maybe men have looked down on me or just other women because they think that we are weak, but that is not true.
Okay. Based off that, can you tell me about a time your strength was an issue with your work?
Yes. I definitely cannot lift a body out of a house on my own. I have to have someone's assistance, but it's not always a man. Sometimes it's women too, and those women can be police officers, but it is more typical for a man to be a police officer and for them to help me.
Have you ever noticed any sort of perceived gender roles in the workplace?
Yes. It seems as if the guys are always looked up to more than the women because they seem smarter or just more physically strong or capable rather than the women, although I'd say the women kind of run the place here.
So typically like with like law enforcement, stuff like that, it's majority men. Do you think that this job type is typically more appealing to men?
Yes, I do, mainly because it's more physically demanding, but I do think that more women are just applying to these jobs. There's just a lot more women that are wanting to do this job, so it's more common.